Hello and welcome to a very special talk and workshop with Mary Clista Dahl, who is going to share with the folks here how to discover their soul's passions and channel that towards something greater in their lives. All right, without further ado, I present Mary Clista Dahl. You go, Mary.
Yay, thank you, Dan, for that lovely introduction. Hello, everybody. I'm so glad to be here. I just want to say the reason I'm here, I was excited when Dan put an email out somewhere about careers and people finding their careers. And I said, oh, that's one of my passions, because I worked at the University of Buffalo for 35 years as my main career. I worked my way up from administrative assistant to a program director. And in that 35 years, I worked in the general career office for the campus, the engineering program, helping them start their co-op program. And then the last 10 years was at the School of Management, helping in their career office, helping students find careers and internships. And it was a genuine pleasure. I loved the one-on-ones were my favorites with the office hours, because it was a common denominator for people, for students and alumni, everybody from age, say, 18 all the way on up into decades after they graduate. They would come to me and they would say, I have no experience or nothing to offer an employer. And I would invite them to sit down across from me and say, give me 20 minutes of listening to your life story, and I will tell you how valuable you are to employees. And so that's been one of my life's passions. And when I retired in 2018, it was largely because the job search process and career search process, as you may or may not know if you've looked for a job recently, has become very automated, keywording and electronic, with a lot of recruiters and employers choosing candidates based on their resumes or their keywords, and it gets frustrating for people trying to find a job. So I have worked with students and people in general to try and go around that system and say, basically, know yourself, know your essence, and know yourself well so that you can approach employers with the idea that you are the right person to do it. And one of the ways that I think is best to do that is to begin with writing your ideal job description. Not necessarily what you are skilled at, but what you really want to spend your day doing. What will make you pass the time passionately, blissfully, happily, and whether it's money that motivates you or whether it's serving others that motivates you, whatever it is to best suit you in your life, for a daily work and making a living, or making a life, as I like to say, and going from there. And once you have that approach and know what you want to do, then you go to the employer and you say, this is what I have to offer you. Do you have anything that fits that? And that's a lot different than going on one of the job search sites and just submitting your resume and waiting for a response back, because then you're competing with hundreds of people at the same time And as you may or may not know, that can be frustrating. So that's my little spiel. And I want to know if you all have individual questions on how to do that, or what you've encountered in your own job search, or what you've encountered in trying to figure out what your passions are.
Do you recommend writing everything down, like what you're looking for, almost like what you would do with a partner, like your potential qualities, like that type of thing, and maybe that'll help manifest the dream job?
Yes. Yes, I think it's a good idea. And for an example, I can use in the 5 years before I retired, I was already thinking about, I'm not going to stop working because I love what I do. I just don't like a lot of the aspects of it. So and this actually took quite a bit of thinking. I wrote down my 3 top passions, which at the time were nature, helping others, and writing. And I had a notebook with 3 different columns. And I'd be driving to work, or I'd be at in the shower, and something would pop into my head about why I liked that. And I would write it down in my notebook. And I carried that notebook around for 5 years. And around the time I retired, I had a good idea based on that list. And then I would like Google the list, some of the things on the list, and pull up some of the positions and careers that people were doing with those passions. And that was really, really helpful. And another thing to do is, like you suggested, a partner, is just to have a conversation with somebody face to face, and have them, and then just talk and have them listen, and have them pay attention to when your eyes light up and when you get excited about your speech, and then have them write that down and hand it to you, because that's a real indicator of where your passions lie.
That's so great. Thank you.
You're welcome, Eva.
I have a question. Will that work with government positions as well? Because that gets into a whole different ball field.
Yeah, government positions, it would help narrow down the type of position you're looking for, but and yes, it actually would, Jeanette. And I was in a government position, and what you could do is have in mind the exact the type of an agency you'd like to work for, or type of the government organization you would like to work for. And this is after you've done your homework of, where your passions lie, what you want to do. If you want to work in a big place, a small place, if you want to serve other people, what type of an environment you want to work in, what type of work, the matchup.
I'm looking into correctional facilities.
Okay, you're narrowing it down. That's awesome. Do you know what you want to do at the correctional facilities?
I think I'm looking into probably reentry rehabilitation. Not quite sure. I could even like maybe training, facilitation, support groups. I mean, I do a lot of things, so I want to be able to help individuals that are incarcerated to prepare them to come when they come out, be better prepared, and hopefully to reduce that recidivism.
Gotcha. Okay. I have a lot of people in my network actually that do that kind of work. Do you specifically want to work for a government organization, or would you be willing to work at, say, an agency that helps? The
Well,
reason
I'm
I
looking
asked it,
more, no, I'm really kind of looking into government, getting involved directly with government.
okay,
I've worked with agencies. I kind of want to change that a little bit and directly work with the government. Not
okay,
federal though, not federal. More like city or state. I'm
okay.
formerly incarcerated myself, so that makes it a bit challenging. I did seal my case, but still, federal goes more into the background check, so it's a little bit more difficult to get into a federal correctional facility.
Would you want to work as a consultant, or I don't
I
know
was
if you
thinking
can.
of that myself. Yeah, I was thinking about that, but I don't know how to even go about that.
I don't know either.
I was thinking about an LLC, but I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of things I'm still thinking, which there's a lot of research still have to do.
Yeah, I would say research would be, I would say if you have in mind, a, a do you have in mind a particular prison or a prison system?
More, I think there's maybe 2 or 3 that are state that's not too far into upstate. I think there's 2 in Queens, and I think there might be one that's not too upstate, maybe like an hour away. I don't want to go too deep upstate because I live in the city.
Okay. Do you want to do it in person?
Yes.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. I would start on the phone, and you might get a runaround, but like I like to tell people, every no or I don't know you get brings you closer to a yes. So have in mind a specific um, specific service you could offer people. So like a mission statement, this is what I want to do, and make it quick. It's like an elevator speech type thing. And
Yes.
just cut and start with the general number and get names and go from there, names and contact, and go from there. And that should narrow down your focus and put you on the path to where you need to be to get in there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I will say too, does anybody use LinkedIn on here?
I do
Link,
sometimes. Yeah, I do
link,
sometimes.
yeah, LinkedIn isn't, I have found it to be an excellent way to network with people. And the way I built my network, I have 24,000 contacts on there now. And the way I did that was I did keyword searches with my passions. So I did one for nature, one for writing, and I think one for coaching. I did it and pulled up people from there, connected with people from there. And once I connected, I really, really read their profile. And if I thought they were doing something similar to what I was doing, I messaged them and requested a phone call or a Zoom meeting with them, and got excellent help from them through that network. Because I have found that a really good way to get your foot in the door, and this is another way for you to, Jeanette, find somebody who's doing similar work and bend their ear, because most people are really glad to have the conversation with you about how they got into what they did. And they will hold your hand. We used to call those, and it's the same thing, same concept, informational interviews. Bending the ear of the people who are doing the kind of work you want to do. And they can tell you about associations they might be involved in, memberships they might be involved with, and organizations to get more information or to get more contacts.
I'm sorry, I have to go. I guess I'll watch the recording. Will your information be on there if I have any other questions?
Yes, yes.
Okay, will do. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll keep in contact. You have a great day. Have a
Okay.
great day, everyone.
Good luck, Jeanette.
Thank you.
Marty or Catherine?
Yeah, I guess I'll speak a little bit. It's nice to be here. I actually am always interested to find any kind of ways in which to get what I want as far as employment and jobs, knowing my skills and knowing my weaknesses. And I think I've done a pretty good job. What I'm going to do is give you my video. Actually, I'm going to put it on. I didn't come here for any specific reason. I wanted to hear you. You sound like very like I learn a lot. I'm in a sort of a different situation, I guess. And Marty had put something. Marty I know her professionally. She is a social worker. I know. Anyway, she put something in the chat, which I actually just copied. But I have unusual circumstances, so I was going to just listen because I'm 70. I'm older, and I know my skills and I know my weaknesses. I know I love the arts, and like the woman who just left, I want to help people with what I've learned and what I developed, my skill level in the arts to help people recover through the arts. Poetry, my love of dance, and music, because I believe that the arts help recovery in healthcare. I think it's a very important modality to use, whether it's the correctional system or not. And I've worked with people coping with AIDS, people that were in mental health facilities all over. But I do have requirements now that are unusual. I because of aging issues. I don't even think that what Marty put in there, she could speak if she's there, is even something that I could use because of my age, and because of I have limitations. You were asking the prior person, do you want to do it in person or on Zoom? Well, my ability to travel is not the greatest anymore. So I want to be able to be somewhere close in an agency, maybe. And part-time, definitely not full-time. And it's really hard to get opportunities, I think, even though you have experience. I think what you were talking about before, as far as the internet and all that, and the technology and how to get a job, is also has always been an obstruction for me, because I don't know the internet that well, LinkedIn that well, all that stuff, technology wise. I don't. But my resume was very, very good. I got help from a very excellent social worker to develop that. And
Oh.
Go ahead.
My suggestion to you
Yeah.
would be to make a list of places that are accessible to you and close by. And either call or email. Write up a proposal of, say, maybe a workshop you'd like to give, or how you would want to deliver your services. And what hours you are available, or you can just say, I want to do this part-time. And then call the agency or the organization, find out, describe what you want to do, find out who the contact person is on that, send them the proposal. And then it's not like you're applying for a job. You're just saying, this is what I have to offer. I have experience. And in that process, a lot of times you will spark something in them that either they have been talking about implementing, or that you will give them the idea of, hey, that's a really great idea. But because the alternative therapies, like you just said, art or poetry, they're so beneficial. The expressive therapies are so beneficial.
Yeah.
And if you could put a package together where you're already doing it, then they don't have to figure it out on their own. And you could start that program for them and let them know that you're available to do it. Often that'll at least start a conversation with somebody and go from there.
Yeah, well, thank you. I've been thinking about that because unlike the other woman that we were on the phone with, I don't know whether it's beneficial or not for me, but I've worked with so many different populations, so I'm not targeting correctional or not correctional. I mean, I've done so many disability groups, including the blind and visually impaired. I mean, whoa, my population groups are, and my experience is pretty good. But, I do have these other, I guess you could say, liabilities. I mean, my age and, how I travel, or, there are things. I mean, I know that my strengths and weaknesses, I gotta make some kind of idea about this. So,
Yeah, and think about the age you might want to work for. Maybe you want to work with younger people to inspire them, younger people with disabilities, or people that are your age. So, I mean, you're inspirational to me, being, I'm 60, and I know that a lot of people, and I have MS. So I work with people with MS to say, basically, this is what you can do, even though you have the physical limitations. This is what you can do, and work with what you can do, as opposed to what's holding you back. And so it's very rewarding.
oh, I know I've been very blessed in a lot of, believe me, some of my most cherished memories are when I work with people coping with AIDS, and I got a grant from Poets and Writers to do that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, well, people would pass away. They would pass away, but I would have developed not only a book for them, like Our World in an Onion, gave them a microphone so they could speak their words. And then if something happened, which it usually did happen, and the pastor was there, I would be able to give their relatives a copy of the recorded words from their loved one, who they didn't really love at one point because they were mad at them for having AIDS. But it really broke. It was so human. It was just amazing to see these people voice their beautiful poems and connect with the pastor and the people in the family, give them a book of poetry. It was immense.
And that's, you can put that on a resume, But when you do that, you're competing with all the other people in the resume. But if you do that in a proposal, woohoo, what you just said and how you said it really, really caught my eye. And if you do it over a phone call or an email at random, you're the only one that's coming in that way. And the fact that you got a grant and you help those people and you really know, how effective it is because you've seen it and demonstrated it already. And that's so in cases like that too, if they do decide to bring you on in a program, it usually ends up that the resume documentation will just be a formality after they decide to bring you on, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Thank you. I'm glad I attended. Thank you.
And I'll use the one of my students used the backdoor approach she was a marketing student and she lived near a brewery that was shaped like a castle. And when she was a little girl growing up, she was saying, someday I'm going to work in that castle. Well, she got, she went to school, University of Buffalo, and she needed to do an internship. And she came to me and she goes, I want to work in that castle, but I've never seen a job posted. And I said, well, you go to their human resources, or if they don't have that, ask who call them and ask who or stop by there and ask who the marketing manager is and tell them about yourself and tell them your story. So, she went to the marketing manager and she told him about the internship program that the university offered. And he said, I don't even know how to go about doing something like that. So she gave him our number and we worked with them. He said, if you're willing to hire her and give her a chance, let's do this. So she ended up getting an internship, and at first it was a summer internship, so it was not paid for 3 months when she first started. But after she graduated, they brought her on as like assistant marketing manager. So she had her dream come true. So she went in through the back door, did it her own way, and was really happy. So if you know your essence and what you can bring to an organization and can communicate that well, it does the organization a favor by letting them know how you can benefit them and their clients with your skills and your enthusiasm.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hi, Marty. Good to see your face.
I didn't realize that my camera wasn't on.
Oh.
So I'm an employment specialist social worker in the OMH clinic, and I just came to see if there were resources or tips or anything. And so there have been, and that's great.
So tell me about your organization.
I work
and
at
how you got in.
I'm working at South Beach Psychiatric Center's Elm Place Clinic. And I've been here, it'll be 12 years in December. And I met my former boss before I switched jobs at a street fair.
Wow. Was the street fair for unemployment? Or
No, it
for
was there's an
employment?
annual big thing every year where they like shut down a big avenue. Catherine, did you know that I got the job at the Atlantic Antic?
No, that I didn't know. But that's just something like, I mean, that's a familiar story, I guess, from what I was saying, because you never know who you meet, because the person that gave me the grants for the poets and writers, we were stuck on a train and there was criminal activity on the train. So we had to get off the train. But she had a poets and writers bag on her back. And I'm a poet. I'm a well-known poet. I'm not well-known, but I'm a poet. I'm established. So I wanted to figure out, you know, 'cause I'm always looking where you could get a job, where you can get a grant, you know, whatever. So I talked to her, and she ended up being the person that was in charge of the workshops, poets and writers. Do you believe it? Right. Okay. So that's how I ended up having a relationship with them. And then I showed them my book, which they really enjoyed a lot. And they thought it was very it was good. And now and I have a relationship with them, you know.
That's
I'm sure
amazing.
it's amazing. If I could also um construct some, you know, ideas with them also, they may give me also a grant again. Again, my limitation is my health. And so I can't go all the time. Like I used to work in Staten Island and Queens. I used to go travel a long way. I went to Creedmoor Hospital and taught them the mental health hospital. I did this in service to train how to use poetry in healthcare. So I don't do that. That's far away now, you know what I mean? But yeah, the possibilities are there with that kind of thing.
But a
If-
question that comes up a lot is about how much to charge and how to have those kinds of compensation questions. And I'm wondering, Mary, if you could share anything about that.
Yes, that's true.
That's a really good point, and I don't know how much to charge, or even I would start out with how much would you pay? Or if you have a range, I really don't know the answer to that question.
I answered the same way you just did. And you know how I answered that? Because I was going to give that last person that was on an idea. She left very quickly. But SCORE is a really good place to figure out pricing because they have professionals in business. And they talk about pricing all the time. And they said the same thing that you just said. How much can they do? Not necessarily to name a number, but well, what is what is it that you in your budget can you do? Can you afford for something like this that I can offer? So because it's hard, at least for me, to answer that question. You know, it's just pricing is hard for anybody anyway. It's always hard. It's not an easy topic, pricing. But you can't be too little and you can't be too much. I mean, obviously, you know, you can't. You have to have you have to have something that's reasonable, you know, for both parties to be happy, you know. That's that's what I feel. Yeah.
So are you in a position, Catherine, to do this work one-on-one with people?
I've done them one-on-one with people. I've done one-on-one with people. I've done groups with people. I have, that's good. But right now, again, my limitations, I have to figure out the energy level, right? But I've done one-on-one. I've done groups. I've done large groups. Yeah, and different populations. It's hard to pin me down. I mean, Marty might know or think it's hard to put me in a little box. My fingers have been like this with career because I've always tried to be better financially. And I wanted to keep my, I have assistances because I didn't say this. Well, you said you had multiple sclerosis, but I was a survivor of domestic abuse. So I fell into a system that is harsh and it needs mental health services, obviously. And I need my support systems, and I don't want to lose those support systems through medical coverages. So it's like I was in a box in a lot of reasons. In a lot of ways, my life has been sort of in this little structure that I had to negotiate and manage. But looking for work has always been like a spark like this for me outward. I've done this and this and that and that. And usually with around the arts, around all of the different arts and healthcare and recovery. And since I'm a peer myself, I have felt and found it. I mean, I do talk with passion because I know it works. You know, I know it works. So yeah, but pricing is not easy. And but I think there's a, you know, hey, listen, I'm not dead yet. I was just tap dancing at the on top of the dugout for the baseball team
I love it.
on the island. So I'm not gone yet.
That can be your tagline for whatever you do. I mean, that because that's the energy I get from you. And to do that approach, and if you could do it in, you know, just create one line for yourself, for your essence, to, as opposed to, you know, you see the resume and they tell you it's got to be 1 page or 2 pages or whatever, and you're putting all these boxes in there. So if you can just take everything you've done and write it into one line that will morph into what you want to do from here on in. And it's magic how that'll work.
Yeah, I had an excellent resume maker. I had a very fantastic, and it's a good resume. It's a very good resume. It's just, you're right. It's just, there are things, sticking points for me that scare me in a way. One is the pricing. I don't know where to go with my, how valuable I am. Sometimes also people have taken advantage of me in my situation, paid me less than I really should have. So, I mean, I really have to know the working world in that manner. What is, like what I told you about that experience when I was working with people coping with AIDS, there's no money that could possibly match what I felt was given and taken. It was just so organic. It was so priceless. That work was, the effect of my work with them and where I was, to me, was just priceless, because I saw them really interacting, really connecting with the poetry. You know, I don't really always like sob stories, but what I like to do, because my library, I have an actual physical library that's huge, and it's signed by many famous authors in person that I work with. So I have the materials, and so I like to have the beauty, not necessarily, I like to focus on the beauty of poetry, the masters, people who have written and, you know, and looked at a fly in words that made your attention on the beauty in life, something that's a tree or something like that, you know. It's just, so I'm just saying, I don't like to just have ugly stuff out there. There's true, it's cathartic poetry, but I like to show them in books how beautiful the word can be, you know, and how much beauty poetry can bring them. We have enough ugly. I think we have enough ugly in life. I think we have enough ugly. Anyway.
I agree. And it's funny you say that about your library, because I just moved to Ohio and I brought my library of over 300 resources with me. And I'm trying to find a way to share that with people, because it's like, I keep thinking it's beautiful that I have all these resources here, but how do I share that? So I'm putting a website together called 12angels.org, and I'm going to offer services. And I don't know what that's going to look like yet, but one of them is to have people come to and I'm looking for a spot of land near my apartment. But for now, it's just going to be my apartment. People want to come here and just sit and talk and go through listening sessions. I don't know how it's going to formulate. And I got during COVID, I was bored. So I found an online master's program in integrative health and healing, and I focused on mental health. And I thought, well, I can use, that information to help people too. And so that's my trying to make it more focused on a particular thing. But for now, it's just in general, help people, just help people.
Actually, this might help you. I mean, because I wanted to do the same thing with my poetry library, because I used to volunteer at something called Poets House in the city. So now my library is nice for the, different, there's so many poetry venues around here, people that would want to see the books or the recordings or whatever like that, or films about it. The reason I'm saying that, not for me, but for you, is I would look up the structure of Poets House, because you could do the same thing with the resources as that house is offering poetry. You're offering resources, your extensive library of resources. Something is, what's your name again?
Mary.
Mary's house. Mary's house. And in Mary's house have all these resources. I mean, I personally, just hearing you, I would say somehow look at the structure of Poets House and how they developed, because you could have that in Ohio.
Yeah, I'll definitely look that up.
Here, it's an idea.
Definitely look at.
Yeah. Anyway,
There's something called happiness clubs too that I recently found out. And they started in Connecticut with this gentleman, and they are around the world now. So I'm going to have happiness club meetings here too as part of it. It's like, so I'm just formulating it. And everything for me though, I don't know how to, same thing, I don't know how to charge. And I'm on a pension for my career, so I don't need the money. So I'm just doing everything donation based. If they want, if they can, and if they can't, that's okay too.
well, Marty might be a really, everyone needs resources in the world to help other people. It's like, they do say money is around for a reason. It goes from place to place, and the resources are very important. You know how many people, if they just know of a name, if they know of an agency, if it's resources can open a lot of doors to people, solve a lot of problems. So that's a great clearinghouse kind of idea, right?
Yeah, I will look them up. Thank you, Catherine. And I'm putting my email now in the chat. So if you have any questions, or if you think of something later that's either going to help me, or if you have questions, certainly send me an email.
I think I lost it. Where is it? Oh, here it is. I see it. I see. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna take a picture. All right. This way I save it for later.
And I'm also a resource gatherer. And one of the big things I have like pages and pages and pages of different resources. And right now they're only shareable with people within our state system. So I can't even like send it to clients. So my supervisor is in support of me finding a better platform to make them shareable. So I'll add you to my list of people to send it to once that comes out. But I'm having a difficulty finding a platform to host all these like documents and links and stuff.
So link together. That's a good idea. It's a
Yeah,
very
that is a good idea.
Yes. You'll be helping a lot of people. And I think that's the most important thing in this time, is to be kind and to just share resources.
There's definitely a need for it.
Yeah,
I think that was my bipolar disorder story. Was I had my psychotic episode in 1998, and then I was put on medication and did fine till two traumas happened in my life simultaneously. In 2016, I ended up back in the hospital and came out, and I said, I don't think I was sick, because the experience with the institution was just chaotic. And I said, I think the system is crazier than I was. And at that point, I started looking for resources. And so I wrote my thesis. My master's thesis was psychosis from a wellness lens. And the resources I found on that were incredible, but it took me years and years and years of digging. So I
Oh,
have
I'm sorry, but
my
you said
list
psychosis from a what?
from a wellness perspective.
Wonderful. Very, very interesting. That's good. Yeah. And I honor your life journey and how you have developed and can share with other people like this, because it's very hopeful and meaningful. It really is. Just
And I think the hopeful is such an important word. It's something we all need now, hope and encouragement and cheerleading.
definitely cheerleading. There's I'll be brief. I was at the senior corps because I graduated from that. And because they were never answering the phones. So I showed up in person and I went inside and I'm sitting down waiting. And there's two glass doors that shut the elevators to the actual place where I'm sitting in the department. And this guy comes in, sits down next to me. He's a young guy. So I know he's not a senior. I said to him, "Are you here for the senior corps?" He said, "No, I was recently, I have a legal matter, blah, 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 whatever." And he thought that the Department for the Aging had a resource. So he goes to the desk and he says, "I'm waiting for such and such." And they said, "I'm sorry, they went for lunch, but try this." And so he goes out the door. Now, I didn't know if I would be rung in or run out again, but I said, I'm going to follow that guy because that's the way I am, because I know what it is to be hurt. So I go outside the door, the glass door near the elevators. He's going in the elevator. I say, "Wait a minute, sir. Wait." He comes out. I said, "You know what? Try Urban Justice," because that's an organization, right? Urban Justice, because I know that they're going to just say when they call, "Oh, they're out to lunch," or that they went to Florida, or, before you get to the answer, "This man needs help love right now." Nobody wants to hear. A young kid, he was about 21 or 23 or something like that. I said, no, no, no. If he needs some help, I may not be the one to help him, but I think that these people will guide him okay. And that's the way the resources go like this. That's the
And
way.
you changed his life that way with a little bit of a ripple.
I hope that it worked, because a little bit of a stopping, paying attention to what people need. There's too much of this. Oh, I got my next call to take, click. I got that, click, no. That's why your resource thing is great. It's a great idea to
And
just
it's also going to be offline. So if people come to the door, they're going to there's no intake process or anything. Somebody will be able to help them right away. Sit
Yeah.
them down, say, "What do you need help with today?" And just, it's like, we'll give them links for resources if they want to pursue that on their own. But we're not going to set them up in front of a computer and say, "Here you go." We're going to work with them face to face, eye to eye, in the moment.
And it's great that you don't really need the money, because you're giving back now at your age or whatever, you're giving back what you have developed. And that's the way I feel about my poetry work resources. I have them. I don't want to sit on them. Why should I sit on them? My family, nobody really cherishes them or values them like I do, but they could help people. So that's the thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, nice having a meeting.
Yeah, this was great.
Thank you. Thank you. It was great meeting you both. It was and I hope Jeanette gets something out of it too. And I hope she contacts me too, because I have more prison resources for her.
I took down
that work. When my last job I had, we worked with people just getting out of the prison system. And I was at the front desk, and they would walk in and their heads were down, and they would say, "Yeah, I'm here to do vocational training or something. I just got out of prison." And I would be all perky and say, welcome to your second chance. And they would like look up and be very surprised if somebody was there to help them.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that's good. We definitely need people to help other people, yeah.
Yes.
So I'm gonna say goodbye and nice to see you both and
Nice to see you too. Take care, Catherine. Good luck.